So I've got a pretty strange question, I'll be honest, and it's this: do you actually know your birthday? Like, do you know for sure the day that you were born? The day, month, year, the whole deal. So mine is November 25th. I was born on Thanksgiving. And I know that because my parents told me that. I also know that because I looked on my birth certificate at some point. Now, here's the thing. I don't actually know for sure that that's my birthday. Like, I'm trusting my parents and I'm trusting this piece of paper, but there is a chance that they could both be wrong. Like, they're not accurate. And so even my birthday is something that I'm pretty sure of, but I'm not entirely sure of. But that's okay. Like, that's actually all right. And it's because we don't really need to know. In fact, there's very few things, if anything, that we can know with absolute certainty. And that's just the way that God made us. You see, there's basically two parts to anything that could be true. There's a part that we know, and there's the part that we don't know, okay? There's the part that we know, maybe we know some truth or knowledge, we got some information that we feel really certain about. But then there's also the part that we don't know, which might be questions that we have, or doubts, or uncertainty. And so whatever the entire truth is of something that's true, there's two components: what we know and what we don't know. And when it comes to thinking about God, it's beyond what any of us could grasp. That's just the way it works. The truth about the transcendent God of the universe is beyond anything that we can know. So when it comes to thinking about God, it's always going to have these two ingredients: things that we know and things that we don't know. In the year, it's kind of a long time ago, 1225, there's a guy named Thomas Aquinas. You don't need to remember him, but he's an old smart guy, okay? And what he argued was this, which was that there were two parts about knowing about anything: the part we know and the part that we don't know. And what he argued about when it comes to faith in God is that there will always be parts that we don't know. There will always be parts where we're left with, it leaves a void, and that void is called doubt, that void is called uncertainty, that void is called questions. He said it's always going to be like that. That's an essential ingredient of believing in God. In one way that the Apostle Paul talks about it in 1 Corinthians 13, which is kind of the famous thing about love, but if you keep reading past that, it concludes with this. In 1 Corinthians 13, it says this: "Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror." Think of like a foggy mirror, when you look into a mirror, but it was all foggy. We see a poor reflection as in a mirror. But then, and this is in the future, when we'll be with God face to face in heaven, the new heavens and earth, then we will see God face to face. Now I know in part. Right now, I know only in part. But then I shall know fully. Like, this idea that there's always going to be a component of what I know and what I don't know, it's in God's word. And so when it comes to our faith in a transcendent God, we need to embrace the true things that we do know, but we also need to be comfortable, if we really are talking about God, with the parts that are doubts that we have and uncertainties and things that we're not sure of, or maybe we keep going back and forth. It's kind of a combined deal, putting our faith in God. And that should be natural if what we're really talking about is a transcendent God that created heaven, earth, you and me, and everything in it. So if I have a challenge, it's this. It's for you to pick one topic that you go, I've got doubts, I've got uncertainties, I don't have it figured out. And maybe to just be at peace with that and to be okay with that, but instead to say, God, I actually am putting my faith and trust in the fact that I don't have the answers. And that in and itself actually is an act of faith in trusting God and having a relationship with Jesus Christ. So I encourage you to actually just kind of come to peace with that. Keep learning, keep doing whatever, but to actually be at peace that it might be that you have those two components you will actually for your entire life.